Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Spark. I'm Coach David. Hope you're doing great on today. And I hope that you coming in refreshed and ready to go, ready to get something and ready to learn, ready to develop, ready to go to a new height and a new level. Certainly, it is a pleasure for me to be here with you on today and to share something with you that I believe will enlighten you, that will actually help you and take you to another level. So let's jump right into it. Let's get into it and get going. If you would, shout somebody out and let them know that Coach David is on, excuse me, and that he is getting ready to bring us some more stuff that's going to help our life elevate, where we can have our level of performance at a very high level and that we can get the things done that need to be done. Today, I'm going to continue to talk about that subject we've been talking about over the last several weeks. We've been talking about trust the process. And, you know, the process is so key to our success. So we've got to trust it. We've got to know that the process, one, is working. And we got to have it inside of us that, you know, even though I may not see anything right now, I know this process is working. The next thing that we got to do, we got to, you know, commit to that process and say, hey, you know what, I'm locked in, I'm going for it. And then in the end, we're going to see the desired results that we want to see. Remember, we don't chase results. We just stick to our level of executing the process. That's what it's really all about. So today I want to talk about, do you trust the process or do you trust results? That's a very, very critical question. Do you trust the process or are you trusting the results? Let's be honest about it. If you don't trust the process, you know, this is how you can indicate that. This is how you can learn that. Because if you're not trusting the process, what you do, you need results in order to keep going. In other words, you've got to see something. And I got to let you know, if you're really trusting the process, you don't need proof. You don't need validation. You don't need to feel like it's working. You have true trust in the process. Because here's the truth. Real trust shows up when there is no evidence. There's no evidence. That's when you know that you're trusting. And so a lot of times what people want, they want the evidence in order to continue to go. And so that can create a problem for you if you're not careful. So you need to be aware of that, hey, am I in an antitrust position? In other words, there's a lot of times when we can get into this thing and we say, oh yeah, I'm locked in, I'm trusting the process. But when we don't see anything, we can get into an antitrust position. So I'm going to talk to you about three key things. Number one is conditional commitment. Oh boy. Then I'm going to talk to you about confirmation over conviction. And then I'm finally going to talk to you about conclusion, not clues. And so what we're going to do, we're going to dig into that. And through this, we're going to find out if we're really trusting the process or are we trusting the results that come out of the process. And I got news for you. You don't want to miss this. You don't want to do this because you could mess yourself up. So let's get going. Number one, the conditional commitment. See, this is the way I see it. Either you're all in or you're not. Okay. You can't be part of the way in. It's like have one foot in, one foot out. You can't have that. You got to be all in. Most people say they are trusting the process. When you talk to them, when you ask them about it, when you sit down and dig into it with them, they say, oh yeah, I'm trusting the process. I'm trusting the process. But the truth of the matter is they're only trusting the process if it's producing results. So what I'm saying is this right here. The moment the results slow down, the moment they don't see anything, their commitment may change. Oh yeah, it does. And here's how you know, because you can see commitment changing in several ways. Number one, you start questioning the plan. Is this plan really working? The next thing you'll do, you'll change directions. Or a lot of times what you see, particularly in students and athletes, their intensity level drops off. That's how you can know that whether a person is trusting the results or whether they're trusting the process. Because here's the truth of the matter. It's not because your process failed, but it's because your belief was tied to the results. And when your belief is tied to the results over the process, what you're going to do, you're going to have a lack of commitment and you're going to see it. So here's the truth of the matter. If you're not committed to the process, it's just a matter of convenience for you. In other words, what I'm trying to get you to understand is this right here. I have got to be all in. I've got to be locked in. I can't let anything sway me from that, because sometimes you're going to be in a situation. Let me see if I can paint a picture for you. You ever seen a person, maybe an athlete, and they're getting results and everything, and they're working and they're staying with their process and they're getting results, but then all of a sudden the results kind of plateau? In other words, they're not moving up. They may even be slipping back a little bit, and that does happen to athletes sometimes as they're growing through stages. But what will happen is the effort drops off from the athlete. Their focus, they lose focus more quickly and everything. Then what ends up happening, their energy really drops. Then what they will do, they will blame the process. It is not the process that is the problem. The problem is your level of commitment. Remember how you started this? If you really started this and you said, look, I am going to see change, I am going to have change. If you started that way, you were all in. You were committed to it. You say, you know what? No matter what, I'm going to get up early in the morning. I'm going to do my workout. I'm not going to skimp. I'm going to make sure my diet is right. I'm going to make sure that this is right. I'm going to make sure that I'm prepared. And you are doing that. And so initially, you see some results. But then what ends up happening is the results start to drop off, or you plateau. Then you begin to question. That is called conditional commitment. Listen, the conditional commitment is just a matter of convenience. And when it becomes inconvenient, when things start to plateau, if you are not careful, you will have what I call the antitrust. You will stop trusting your process. You'll look for another process to go to. You'll start changing things. And then what begins to happen, you're all over the place. And remember what I shared with you one time before. Every time you change, every time you start over, you set yourself back to zero. And now you got to try to make up all that ground. Stay with your process. Remember how you started. If you started all in, stay all in. See it all the way to the end and watch what's going to happen. Do not allow conditional commitment, one of those 3 C's of antitrust, to get you. You have got to stay locked in even when you're not seeing anything. Remember what I shared with you before. The process is going to pay off, but you've got to stick with it long enough for it to pay off. That's number 1. Number 2, I'm going to talk about confirmation over commitment. What does that mean? Well, trusting the process requires you to operate without proof. If you need confirmation, that's your proof, then you don't have conviction. What am I talking about? People certainly, they have this thing. They want a certain amount of, what's the word I'm looking for? They want a certain amount of proof before they commit. And it just doesn't work that way. The process does not give you proof initially. It does not give you proof early. What it does, it gives you repetition. I mean, you got to keep working. Sometimes it's even boredom. I had a student tell me one time, we were going over the same thing over and over and over again, and they were like, it's just boring. Yeah, but see, this is the thing about boring. Boring is where you learn to be committed. Boring is where the conviction comes in that, hey, I'm working towards something. I'm doing this. And so when you have the boredom, when you have the repetition, there's no visible reward. And that's where many people fold up, cave in, give up, they quit. The process, listen to this and listen closely. The process tests you, and it tests your belief before it rewards your effort. I'm going to say that again. The process tests your belief before it rewards your effort. Here's a key example for that when I see this all the time. We do a specific drill 100 times, but we see no growth. There's nobody applauding. There's none of that kind of stuff going on, but we're doing it over and over and over. And what happens now, eventually, it's going to build some momentum. And so if you look from where you started and you kept doing it over and over and over again, you repetition after repetition, even though sometimes it was boring, you still poured your energy into it. Even sometimes you didn't see any visible reward, I'm still pouring into it. I do this over and over and over time, but I see no growth. Now, right here is a critical moment because most people quit right here, but you're going to be the one who keeps going. And eventually you're going to build that momentum, not because you're lucky, because you kept going without the proof. And when you keep going without the proof shows up later on. So you've got to have conviction over confirmation. You have got to trust the process, and it's going to be operating. You got to trust it without even having some proof. Boy, that's good. And so when you understand that, now you're more able to stay with it. You're more able to continue to do the drill. Even in the boredom periods, you're going to find some kind of way to bring some energy to that thing because you understand that in the end, you're building the momentum and then you're going to receive your proof. That leads me to number 3. Are you one of these people who need conclusion and not cues? What are you talking about, Coach David? Well, here's the thing about it. Results are always a lagging indicator. See, this is the thing about it. When you're working on something, your results are coming behind that. They're lagging behind that. They're an indicator, but they're lagging behind that. Now, most people use results to measure if something is working or not. That's not the way you do this, okay? Remember, I told you before about there's a point where you're executing and there's another point where you're evaluating. Well, what most people want to do, they want to evaluate. And then when they don't see like it's working, they get confused and then they want to try something new. You have to understand that you get clues. You don't get a conclusion. What do you mean? Well, there's going to be times when it looks like something is happening. Now, I'm telling you right now, results don't tell you what's happening now. Think about this. I want you to really think about this. This is a key point. Results don't tell you what's happening right now at the current present moment. What they do, they reveal what you've done before. Your results are going to reveal what you've done before. Here's a true example. All right. Like I told you before, I coach a drill team. Now, a drill team will go out and they will hit a clean execution at competition, and it will look good and everybody's happy and everybody's thinking like, wow, what a great performance. But the truth of the matter is the performance was built a long time ago. The performance was built months ago through many repetitions, through a lot of corrections, and by holding to a standard. I'm going to share something with you that if you get this, this is going to change your life. Stop chasing results. Stop it. Chasing results is not getting you what you want, because remember what I said. The results don't tell you what's happening right now. The results tell you all the work you put in. So if I'm not chasing results, what I need to be chasing is proper execution. I need to be chasing the discipline. I need to be chasing standard, because those are the leading indicators of where you are going. And then when you get to that moment, I always talk about this, when you get to that moment where you need that clean execution, when you get to that moment where you need to be able to stand up and do that performance, all of the things that you've done, it's going to show up. Like I said, you're going to get clues, but you're not going to get, you got to be convicted. You cannot understand that it's not the conclusion. The clues are not the conclusion. When you get to that moment and you hit that clean execution, that's the conclusion. But the conclusion only came about through your execution, through your discipline, and through you holding to your standards and trusting the process. Those are your indicators. Those are your clues. The results, they come at the end. So let's kind of wrap this up, because I've talked for a long time. Okay. We talked about the 3 C's of antitrust: conditional commitment. We said, confirmation over conviction. No, we're not doing that. And conclusions, not cues. Now, when we look at this, here's what I want you to get. Trusting the process means this right here. It means you're going to show up. It means you're going to execute. It means you're going to repeat and repetition after repetition after repetition. And then guess what? Tomorrow, you're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to show up, you're going to execute, and you're going to repeat. And guess what you're going to do the next day? You're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to show up, you're going to execute, you're going to repeat. And you're going to do this even in the times when it's quiet, even in the time when nobody's applauding you, even in the times when it's boring, even in the times when it doesn't look like it's working. You're going to stay with it because you understand something that most people never quite get. Results are not the signal to keep going. They are the reward for you not stopping. Now, let's say that one again. Results, they are not the signal to keep going. Results, they are the reward for you not stopping. And you can only not stop if you trust the process, even when you don't see results. That's how you know. So don't quit. Don't give up. Don't cave in. Trust your process all the way. Forget about the results. I have a saying that I say to my kids all the time. We don't chase trophies. What are we chasing then? We are chasing execution. We are chasing performance. We are chasing ensuring that we hold to our standard. That's what we're chasing. And if we chase those things, I tell them this all the time, if we take care of the things that we can take care of, the trophies will take care of themselves. That is the way it is in your life. If you will do what's important now, W-I-N, if you'll win every day, if you'll do what's important now, win every day, I promise you, in the end, you will win. And somebody said, well, what if I don't? Well, look, what if I don't? I poured everything into it. I know I did the very best that I could do with the situation and the circumstance. Because I'll tell you, sometimes you don't win. You pour everything into it and you don't win. But in your heart of hearts, you know that you did your very best. And you can walk away with your head held high, knowing you did your very best. So remember, don't trust results, trust the process. This is Coach David. I hope this has helped you on today. Definitely been a true and tremendous blessing to be able to share with you. Share this with somebody because somebody needs to hear this. Somebody needs to see this and understand what they really should be, what they should be chasing. I'm going to tell you again, what you want to chase is your execution, your discipline, your standards. Chase those and watch great and wonderful things happen. I'm going to get out of here for this week. Listen, I will see you on next week, but you remember this right here. You are the architect of your life. I'm Coach David. It's been good talking to you. I believe in you. I'll see you next week. Bye.